In this best of 3, let's hear some noise. Wow. It seems like a few more SK fans have joined.
There is. If you were impressed by IPG in that last game, if you had faith in them all the way through and you want to see them close this out in a 2-0 upset, make some noise for IPG.
It's about even.
It's definitely some more noise for IPG this time round, yes. It's an even noise, but it's more than they had last time. But we do see SK Gaming making a very aggressive invade on the bottom half IPG jungle, planting these walls to scout out the lane swaps, planting these walls to keep an eye on the position of Santorin on his Elise. IPG did plant one ward in their opposition jungle, one ward at that Wraith Camp bush. Niels gets spotted and he does a little bit of a dance for SK. But they all get out of there with synced recalls to make sure they were all out at similar moments and no one got left behind and picked off for a late recall. Now, what are SK doing with their lanes after having planted those walls? Where do they think they're seeing people? They're sending Ezreal and Sona down towards the bottom lane. Lucian was there and was spotted. And, well, Fiddlesticks is going to walk just about around that lane swap ward as best he can. But we are going to see a 2v2 down in that bottom lane. We're going to see a 1v1 Jax versus Aurelia up top. And, again, Jez is playing that Ziggs against God Bros Gragas, just as a repeat of the last game.
This is so much nostalgia as well from Season 2, where Sona, Ezreal seemed like the go-to duo, like every single time. You got loads of poke, you got sustain, you've got a lot of burst damage as well at level 6, and on top of that you've got a lot of potential for maneuverability, of course, with the E from Sona. So it's going to be an interesting lane, honestly. Fiddlesticks and Lucian, how do you think this is going to work out?
Well, we mentioned before, there's a lot of CC and there's a lot of long-range poke damage coming out from Exodina with that Dark Wind and with the Fear when they need it. And Lucian is very aggressive with his poke as well. So he's going to get in there, he's going to bully people down, and he's going to take a silence to his face every now and again from Exodina, and it's going to slow down the heals. And just having it slightly delayed and having the movement speed buff once Sona gets that up there too, slightly delayed, it's going to allow a couple of extra attacks for Lucian to land. But ultimately, once there's a couple of levels here on Sona and Ezreal as well, once the sustain and the poke is available, it's going to be quite an even match, and the trade's going to be very important, and providing the Mystic Shots land from Candy Panna, that's going to decide a lot of it too. If those are hitting creeps instead of hitting Lucian, then of course they're going to lose out every trade.
Yeah, so let's have a quick look-see across the board then. Of course, this is going to be a 1 versus 1 at top lane. Freddy122's Jax up against Gamble's Irelia. And we are going to have the same matchup as last game. As we mentioned, we've got Bro Kragas, and Jez is rocking out with the Ziggs. Remember, level 6, watch out for those snipes. He's been landing them thick and fast throughout this first game, and I wouldn't see it changing anytime soon. I think he's going to just do the exact same thing.
So, top lane, we do see Freddy122 landing the stun there in onto Gamble. Santorin's coming straight up the river, but they don't know. Svenskeren hiding in this top push. The slow comes out, there's the spider, but the Sonic Wave land straight on and in. The stun doesn't hit Svenskeren there because Freddy managed to dodge around it. Santorin's burning, does get back under the turret, but Svenskeren and Freddy easily came out there on top of that trade.
Gamble played really smart there. He was very gingerly walking towards that bush. It's almost like he could sense that something was up, but both junglers are going to catch one another again. Santorin and Svenskeren going tit for tat right now. Santorin trying his best to pull away, and then turns back around, and Svenskeren has to run. He's too scared of that potential burst damage.
Yeah, we did also have Ziggs and Gragas start roaming back up towards that as well to make sure they were there in case anything went any further through. But Svenskeren, he was toying with the idea. He's got that early damage release in, looking to perhaps capitalize on the fact that Elise was very low health from that initial gank, but not willing to go too deep into the jungle to make the most of it. We see a recall from Freddy in the top lane. He goes back, buys himself a Doran's Blade to go with his Doran's Shield, a ward and a couple of potions as well. But as of yet, they're so very even in that farm in the top lane. Just looking to get that slight advantage. Now, Santorin made his complete route around the jungles with some good sustain to his name. He's rotated in toward the bottom half of the map. Did see Nif heading up towards that Tribush, perhaps duking out a ward placement from there. So he's going to keep an eye. They expect Santorin to be around here at some point. There are the pings from SK. They know he's there. He did come a little bit too close to the creeps, and they spotted him out.
Yeah. So nice. Again, though, you know, Candy Pan and Nif, they've been playing together for so long. These are seasoned professionals. They're veterans of League of Legends. And these small things that some duos would fall for, they're always keen. They've always got a keen eye, watching out for those potential ganks. So, you know, if they'd push forward a tiny bit further, we could have seen something like a Terra fight into a Cocoon, into a Death. And they managed to alleviate the pressure. Just back on away. Santorin has to go back to spawn.
So, ward taken out of the river by Dinner on Fiddlesticks after placing that ward in the tri-bush. Freddy 122 got a big wave of creeps now to here and take from Gamble. He's trying to freeze it up under the edge of the turret. Gamble can't really go much deeper for fear of taking turret damage or for fear of Lee Sin's potential presence. So, for Freddy for a while, that's going to be a nice place for him to comfortably farm those big lumps of creeps, that big gold influx. And in doing so, it's also kept Gamble very, very pushed up, kept him in that top bush, kept him very aggressive, and Lee Sin is on his way up to try and do what he can to help him out. Gamble dodges around them nicely, does go while he goes in to try and trade and be a little bit annoying, actually comes out with less health than Gamble. Nicely maintained.
Yeah, Counter-Strike came out, but just nowhere near enough, and that's just going to mark the end of that potential gank. We'll be backing away. Didn't need to burn any summoners, so kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say
flashed.
Waste of time. Yeah, bottom lane though. Santorin is coming down, trying to make some plays himself, but again, it's a very slow, steady approach right now from both teams. You can understand why from SK Gaming. Terrify comes out. There's a Cocoon as well, narrowly missing.
Very, very close there. The Fear running Candy Panda just about in the right direction before it ran out there, helping him get that extra distance between himself and the Cocoon, but it was a nice attempt from Santorin. A little bit of poke damage down onto Candy Panda. And with Lee Sin having shown himself in the top lane, they knew they had a little window to do that without any kind of real retort. Then it comes out of the river. Of course, there's still no SK wards in there, so as far as they know, Spider Lady could still be around. It is not the case then. He's backed off and left. Now, Lee Sin there at that blue, we're going to pass that over to Jez's Ziggs. But this time around, Jez's and MeGodBro much closer in the CS game, much closer in that farm game than they were in the previous matchup.
Yeah, just also to clear some confusion, I meant no flash burn from SK, whereas Gamble needed to get away. But regardless though, still no kills. Pretty tense overall from both teams. Junglers have had quite a lot of presence though. You know, they've tried making plays, just nothing has really stuck. There we go with a recall from Svenskeren at the bot lane, and also on top of that, Freddy 122. About even on CS right now. I'm going to be cancelling that recall. It's a case I have to feel right now of which jungler is going to step up to the plate and make that first blood happen, because the kill potential is not necessarily high. Here comes Mega Inferno Bomb. I believe that stole away the blue buff.
Steal it away. That is completely fresh blue buff on Jez's.
Beautiful.
Managed to steal it with the Inferno Bomb. And again, not quite the first blood snipe that we saw in the previous game, but a snipe with the blue buff still going to be very important in controlling this middle lane.
So, that's actually pretty important, especially in a game where there's been no first blood. These small incremental advantages mean that much more. So Gragas is going to have a tough time against this blue buff. True Shot Barrage has burnt a bot lane, just trying to clear out this creep wave, weaken them so that Candy Panda can finish them off. And they are going to probably recall after this. Yeah, there we go, recalling.
However, Hector Dinner's rotated around behind them and is hiding out in the river. He's got ultimate. If they weren't looking for this, he might be able to pull something off, but they do let the recalls complete. And Candy Panda and Nick get back into base and to shop without too much issue. So Foolish Stone up from Sona and a couple of pink wards now to help regain control of that lane. Nothing in the inventory for Fiddlesticks as he is yet to base, but he is in the middle of a recall and should be home soon. 75 CS to 74 Ezreal to Lucian. Ezreal, of course, going to be building very similar items to Lucian, getting that quick Trinity Force. He's got a Phage to go with his Doran's Blade. He's got another Mana Crystal and a set of boots. Let's see what we see Niels build with his Lucian. No, he's not going for the Trinity Force, going straight in for the early Bloodthirster, initially with that BF sword and longsword combination.
And this is something that actually Doublelift does quite a lot on Ezreal. Remember when the blue build Ezreal was all the rage, and he still believed that Bloodthirster first was the best option for Ezreal because you need that initial damage.
Lucian's building the Bloodthirster.
Sorry, say again?
Lucian's building the Bloodthirster. Ezreal's going Trinity Force.
Oh, well, then completely ignore everything I just said. GG.
It's been a long day. It's fine.
It has.
So we do see Lee Sin coming back down again towards this bottom lane, coming through his lane, helping his team out, seeing what kind of opportunity he can make happen. Nif using these pink wards in these bushes, making sure there's no vision in here for IPG. At the very least, they're going to be a little bit paranoid as to why he's doing that. Is Lee Sin down it? Isn't he down it? Are they going to risk coming forward or not? Do you see Candy Panda push the wave up very, very aggressively? So they're probably going to suspect something about Lee Sin being down here. But now they see Santorin top. SK making an immediate move to Dragon. But is Freddy going to go down? The Ignite is burning. He's popped Grandmaster's Might for the resist. Santorin's got that rip off for the slow. Gamble does force the flash out. Santorin uses the repel to go a bit deep, but they're not going to dive onto the turret. And SK are going to use this opportunity to pick themselves up a free Drake. And considering Freddy didn't die, all he blew with his flash. Definitely worth it for SK. SK.
Yeah, SK really coming out ahead in that exchange, and actually Svenskeren could be following Nif and Candy Panda down to bot lane. He's going to be walking on top of a ward, however. Are they going to be quick enough, both Niels and Dinner, to get away? Yes, they are. Question now, are SK going to try and push this tower? It's very possible, but it's going to take a while. Two-shot barrage comes through from Ezreal. Going to be cleaning out this wave once again, but it doesn't look like they're going to have too much luck because Gragas is coming down right now. So Godbro's thinking about the potential engage, but so is Ziggs.
Niels and Seldina down in that bottom lane, cleaning these waves out as quick as possible. They have Gragas there to help out, as you mentioned. Ziggs changes his mind though and starts making his way back up towards his mid lane. Now that he knows Gragas is going, he can get a bit of free time in there, push that lane back and, well, get Gragas a little bit of punishment, get that CS lead to stretch out a little way further. And again, you can see now the numbers, 113 on Ziggs to 88 on Gragas, because Gragas has to go so much further to help out his opposing or his teammate lanes. To see a phage complete now for Jax in the top lane, alongside his Doran's Blade and his Doran's Shield, but a straight Cutlass for Aurelia. Now, they'll, again, both be ending up with Trinity Force Cutlass combinations, I would imagine, but interesting to see which items they prioritize for first buys.
Yeah, and plus the fact that both of these top laners are going to be against very slippery ADs. Arcane Shift coming out from Ezreal, and then on top of that you also have the Relentless Pursuit from Lucian. So they're both very difficult to stick on, but that Blade of the Ruin King, I should say, from both the potential top laners is going to be potentially detrimental to the AD carries going forward. Speaking of detrimental, Santorin is coming down to bot, so again they're trying to make some plays. Gragas, in the meanwhile, is forced out of mid lane as Svenskeren makes the play. Here comes Elise down at the bot. Candy Panda slightly behind on his support. Cocoon will be missing narrowly, but it does burn the flash. Mega Inferno Bump comes down from Ziggs. Not really going to be doing a great deal.
No, this is Elise and Genk in that mid lane exactly the same time, but a quick body slam flash from Godbro got him away from the combination, and even though that Inferno Bomb landed, it wasn't enough for the kill. But again, bottom lane, Candy Panda, while he looked like he was a little bit pushed up, a little bit too aggressive in that bottom lane, he had to blow his flash and his Arcane Shift, but he did get out there all the same.
Yes, absolutely. So, as you said before, Ezreal going for that Triforce. Interestingly enough, Ziggs has 3,000 gold in his back pocket. So when he does finally go back to spawn, that's a fair chunk of change to be spending. Whereas Gragas has already gone back, picked up the Tear of the Goddess, the Chalice of Harmony, and also an Amplifying Tome. So Athene's Unholy Grail has just been instantly bought, plus the Sork Shoe. So Ziggs could be coming back and doing pretty big amounts of damage.
Definitely the case. Elysium recalling from that bottom bush, from that bottom track. Gragas gets his own blue buff this time around, so it is his first one. Ziggs is not there to steal it away this time around. Not that he was really there last time, he just did it from a mile away. Freddy does have to pop his stun, doesn't quite land it on Gamble. Santorin flashes forward, lands his own stun. They're going to go very deep on this. Freddy pops the Grandmaster's Mate, but Gamble's got a lot of damage. He's not got the Cutlass up yet, it's still on cooldown. But there's the first blood. Santorin gets the bonus gold for it. And first blood at 14 minutes, basically. Does go over to IPG.
Yep, the first kill will be going to IPG, and they're following in the same form that saw them take game number 1 as well. So SK are looking a bit shaky right now. IPG, though, I have to say, it's not just a case of SK looking shaky. IPG have been playing phenomenally well. I think it's important to mention that as well, because they were far behind, as Jezzy just does get ultimated there from Gragas, not really doing that much damage right now. But they were a long way behind in that game on towers. If you remember, they were 6-0 behind in objectives, and they still managed to claw their way back into that game.
Yeah, they definitely did. Candy Panda ult straight across the creep wave, so allow him to base as much as possible, but his ult doesn't do enough damage to kill an entire wave in one. So he's going to lose out on all those creeps now that he's based, but he's based because he's finished his Trinity Force completely. Now we're going to see Lucian base. Let's see what's he going to finish off. He's sitting on 1,600 gold, so he should complete that Bloodthirster on this next bite, unless he chooses to go for some slightly different build paths. Yeah, Bloodthirster complete, and another longsword under his belt. So I imagine that'll be a quick last whisper. We'll see where he chooses to put it. Dragon's going to be back up in a minute 30. We did see SK get the first one pretty rapidly after a good rotate, after seeing Santorin top this time around. I don't imagine IPG will give it up quite so easily.
Yeah, so still this farming frenzy at top continues. Let's have a quick look at the difference in gold. Really nothing, just about 100 between the two. Dinner takes quite a big chunk of damage from Candy Panda. That was just an Arcane Shift and Mystic Shot with an auto attack thrown in for good measure. But still chunking him down to about 50% hit points. So that Triforce starting to actually hurt.
Lee comes in the top lane. Freddy's already used his stun up, but he doesn't have the Sonic Wave on Gamble. Quick flash over by Svenskeren and kicks him back, but Santorin's here again. He gets his stun onto Freddy, but Gamble's already taking a lot of damage. Svenskeren and Freddy are going to keep doing what they can to Elise, but they're not willing to dive under that turret. Super Mega Inferno Bomb comes down, though. It is going to slap straight on Gamble's back, but he's still got quite a bit of health left, and SK are not willing to dive that, especially with the Gragas rotate.
Yeah. Fiends and Holy Grail are going to be putting out a nice chunk of damage, but Irelia is pretty tanky. Ruby Crystal, Doran's Shield, Doran's Blade, so it didn't do as much damage as I was actually expecting right there. And Jez is still pushing down this mid lane. 174 CS to 138. Top lane, Cocoon will be landing onto Freddy 1-2-2, but that Q instantly raining out from Svenskeren. That will keep them at bay. They don't want to get away from that tower when you could have Lee Sin just firing on in, Dragon's Raging, picking up the kill.
So, it's up down for a little bit longer. It's back to within the last quarter of his cooldown. There's an incredibly short cooldown on that Ziggs ultimate. And with Freddy and Svenskeren staying in the top lane, that's sustaining up a lot. That Iron Will is a massive amount of life steal for Svenskeren. Okay, I thought they were going to wait around for the next ultimate cooldown from Ziggs and the ultimate cooldown from Svenskeren, but they are willing to back it up and leave this time around and let Ziggs use his ult somewhere else. Both junglers then leaving that top lane. And, well, Gamble and Freddy will live to fight another day.
Yes, they do. Bot lane, Candy Panda and Nif are looking to force this tower down. So that's two vulnerable, weak towers right now, both bot and middle. Top is still pretty healthy. But bot lane has 158, mid lane currently has just 777. Here comes Gragas to bot, but second guessing himself and will be pulling back to mid. So again, 1 kill in 17.5 minutes. That's pretty slow going, but you can't blame them. Semi-finals of a LAN event, DreamHack Arena, in front of a large crowd. They don't want to misstep. They don't want to pull themselves out of this game. SK Gaming have everything to lose right now as Fiddlesticks has been caught. Dragon's Rage comes through. Here's a two-shot barrage. Will be picking up that kill for Candy Panda. The Triforce rolling out. Here's a crescendo though. Niels is going to be falling as well. The burst damage is unbelievable.
Absolutely huge bursts as Candy Panda and Svenskeren switch their target straight over to that very squishy AD carry. Yes, there's a Bloodthirst. Yes, it's good sustained damage output and sustain for Lucian, but he can only do that while he's attacking, and he did not have time to attack in the time that SK nuked him down there. And you mentioned this is why they're being so safe, this is why they're being their passive, because when those fights do start, they're going to start to explode one way or the other, and no team wanted to be in the receiving end of it. SK grabbed themselves their second dragon, they do get those 2 kills, and they have immediately opened up a 4,000 gold lead thanks to the turret kill on top of everything.
You know, the way this game is going, the pace, I could see a potential 50-minute game coming up.
Could easily see another 50-minute game coming up.
This could go the distance. This really could, because 3 kills in 18.5 minutes, 1 tower, 2 dragons. It's been a slow, steady approach from both teams, but they're starting to get some big items. Blade of the Ruined King for Irelia going back, Bloodthirster, as you called before, on Lucian. And on top of that, the Fiends and Holy Grail has been finished on Gragas, so starting to get a bit more power spikes across the board.
Now, if it does go on for another 50 minutes, well, Jack's become an incredible, super strong hyper carry. Godbrow's going to get stronger and stronger, and Gragas is going to be great. Irelia's going to become stupidly strong later on, as we all seen and watched. Candy Panda's not going to be quite so strong, but I'm not sure. 50 minutes, who's the stronger carry, Lucian or Ezreal? I can't say I've seen too many Lucian games go to 50 minutes to really make that call, but XL Dinner's going to be a basic second AP carry if he starts putting some damage items as things continue, so they're going to have a little bit extra damage there on Intellectual Playground, but Jez is very strong. Lee Sin's going to fall off. It's a tough one to call who's got that stronger later.
Well, if anything is to go by with that last game, it's that Intellectual Playground, they're going to dig in deep and they are going to try and make things happen. So Freddy 1-2-2 has come back up to top lane. Gamble takes a bit of damage there. Sheen has been finished as well, so looking like Jax wants the Triforce before Blade of the Ruined King. So differing in that approach to Irelia.
Yeah, very much so. As SK Gaming continue that push in the bottom lane up towards that tier 2 turret. Santorin's nearby to give a helping hand. Jesus does decide he's had enough of this mid lane and finishes that turret up pretty rapidly. We've seen Gamble trying to do the same thing in the top lane, but can't quite pull it out of the bag yet. You see SK stealing away this red buff. Santorin sees it happening. They know something's going on. We've got XL Dinner over in the Golem pit, looking to potentially try and ultimate over the wall.
Oh, Crescendo has landed, and that's going to put Santorin having to go up with the Repel Crow Storm as well, as Svenskeren gets dark-winded, bounces between him and Candy Panda a number of times. Are they going to look to engage off the back of this, though? Godbro is out of position. He's forced to flash away and body slam. A Terrified again from Svenskeren. So many ultimates being piled on top of each other, but nobody falling.
No, it's a very questionable place for Godbro to stop and start using his W ability, so using that drink. It opened SK up to dive onto him. He did have just enough health that they couldn't finish him off in one quick combo, but he allowed SK to do a lot of damage, allowed himself to go very low, the rest of the team to go very low, and allowed SK to rotate straight up towards this middle turret. Candy Panda getting very aggressive onto Godbro there, forces him back, but a couple members of IPG have based and healed. SK do grab that tier 2 mid turret though and immediately run for the hills.
This is a carbon copy of the last game though, where SK were very strong early to mid, but it was in those 5v5 team fights when a lot of items were built up, but they started to fall behind, but they started to make a few misplays. So even though Intellectual Playground are no doubt behind in terms of gold, in terms of towers, in terms of objectives, at the same time, you have to pay attention to history. The last game they were in this position, they bounced back. There's no reason they can't do it again.
Freddy taking a lot of damage from Gamble there, that Blade of the Ring King helping him out a lot as well, and every one of those ultra attacks from Elliot really taking a lump out of Jax. Now, Santorin's up here too. He's going to try and do the golems, and he's going to try and be a nuisance as Freddy does them, but Santorin's there to help him out. Santorin backs away, but with Gragas rotating too, Freddy leaving, Svenskeren doing the golem, it does look like this top tier 1 turret will fall down to IPG pretty soon.
Yep, and is looking likely. And they are just going to finish it off right now. Oh, Israel is at bot lane. So they may even think about pushing the next tower. You see the pings coming up from SK Gaming saying, look, we need to defend this tower, it's going to fall. There's no need to do that for free. So here comes both Nif and Freddy 122 to top lane. And they are going to stop that push right now. Lucian goes to bot, and Fiddlesticks occupying mid to stop Ziggs pushing.
So, Israel and Lucian facing off against each other down in that bottom lane, just as we saw Vayne and Lucian doing beforehand. This time though, Candy Panda's getting aggressive onto Niels instead of the other way around. And well, with that quick burst combination, he is easily coming out on top in the initial trades, but then Niels gets a lot of that health back after taking 1 or 2 creeps afterwards, and is slowly whittling Candy Panda down. Candy Panda doesn't have the same kind of sustain, so every bit of damage that Niels is landing is sticking. But now we have Jezzy's coming, and Niels has to run for the hills. But again, XL Dinner's coming down, and there's 4 members of IPG converging on these 2 members of SK. SK do have support coming from the mid lane, but they are going to sandwich in onto XL Dinner.
They are. SK, Mega Inferno Bomb comes through very nearly, claiming that kill. True Shot barrage as well. And the Relentless Pursuit will manage just by the skin of his teeth to get him out of harm's way. So 2 ultimates burnt there, and Lucian was ducking backwards and forwards to just survive. Forcing him back though, SK do have a lot of presence at the bot lane, but the creep wave's pretty far behind them. It is catching up though.
Yeah, he's closing in. We're going to have Lucian coming back out. The creep wave's going to hit that tower just beforehand. Question is, do SK have the damage to get through here? Candy Panda's still here, Jez is still here, and here's the flank around the backside from Sona and Lee Sin. But Lucian's back. XL Dinner taking a lot of damage. Going very, very low. But the creeps are still tanking the turret, so he does get back out of there quite nicely. But here comes the culling as they chase in onto SK. Good minefield comes up, and Jezzy's taking them very, very slow. He flashes forward, trying to get onto Elise. Shield drop down while in the repel. SK are now in full retreat though, as Gamble has come down to join them. Freddy's here too, but Gamble could do easy damage to Jezzy's and Candy Panda with the strength of that Irelia right now.
Yep, so 1 for 0 to pick up the kill. The Dragon is live, so SK Gaming should be able to pick this one up, especially as the jungler is not available to smite steal this one away. So SK Gaming will manage to get the kill, converts it into a free objective, now find themselves about 7,000 gold ahead. Mega Inferno Bomb runs down there, just clearing out that wave of creeps. Going to be recalling, lots of gold to spend. In fact, 4 players were around the 2k mark going back to spawn there.
While all these fights aren't necessarily going in SK favour, while they had a bit of a scruffy moment there, while they didn't get the turret they wanted, they are coming out and grabbing an objective here and there. They grabbed that dragon, they pushed away again, they forced Lucian back. They're just getting these little advantages, and as you can see from the gold count, it is now ever stretching their lead up and away. They've got a lot of damage, but Svenskeren is now starting to slowly drop off as this point has hit with Lee. But he's got a sight stone, so he's helping Sona get a lot of map control, a lot of vision, and of course he can use that for some great engages and some safeguard dash kicks. So we'll see as and when he decides to use that. And he's also just a big nuisance. He's there, he's in your face, and he's going to try and stick to the likes of Lucian. Fiddlesticks he can still do a fair bit of damage to, or he can just be used to peel Irelia off of Candy Panda or Jesus.
Yeah, so a quick look then. With all that gold they had, what did they spend it on? So Ziggs has now got Rabadon's Death Cap, got Triforce finished off by the Jax, now pushing down mid lane. Some mobility from Sona, so as to be getting close in contention for those crescendos that could potentially turn the game around like we saw in game number 1, but on the flip side of Intellectual Playground. They just get back away, but they can afford to do this, SK. The only thing that I would say, though, is if they need to learn from something from that last game, maybe they toyed around with Intellectual Playground a bit too long and they allowed Vayne to get to that late game status.
There's maybe something to that. We just see Candy Panda ultimating that bottom lane, killing as many of those creeps as he can and allowing or turning that lane around, so it's pushing in SK's favour. Freddy's doing the same thing in the top lane with his face, helping push that lane to the tier 1 turret, but SK immediately rotate around there now, and they may have just cut Gamble off from his team.
Yep, they have cut him off, but they went just the long way around, so they're not going to be able to pick up the kill, but they are going to get the tower, so still, you know, good play from SK, realising the opportunity was there and making the most of it. Now coming down, will they go for an engage? Very, very doubtful, although at least was in the mid, so for a few milliseconds, that was a 4 versus 5. Again, the creep wave clear coming out from IPG, and this tower stands very much at full HP. Still low, the poke damage coming out from SK, they've got Ezreal to fire in the Mystic shots, they've got the bouncing bombs from Jezzes, so if just a few of them connect onto the likes of Fiddlesticks or Niels, they're going to have to back away, and that's going to be another free tower.
And now, Freddy, where he was pushing that top lane, they rotated down to join him to get that tier 1 turret. He's now back to pushing this middle lane. Jezzes is waiting there to try and trap something that rotates around, takes the silly route to try and deal with Freddy. It is, though, Campbell's the only one that's going that way, and he's going through the base instead. But around behind Freddy was coming around behind the IPG lineup, changes his mind and heads down that pathway between the turret and the blue buff and the wolf camp. There is a cannon creep here, so it takes less damage than normal creeps, but still not enough for SK to land the damage they want on that turret, not enough to land the damage to kill it. So it's going to recall in this bush. Nope, change their minds. They're all just roaming back and through. And ISK looking for a trap? No, they're just looking for a safe place where they can all recall as a unit.
I swear, this is like Blue Ball's League of Legends. There's so much flirting going on from both teams. It's like, do we, don't we? Do we want to engage? Don't we want to engage? And as a result, we've had 4 kills at 28 minutes, which is, I think, maybe the slowest game we've had all tournament so far.
There is a lot on the line here, more than normal. We do, in fact, see Santorin getting caught out, so let's go and get him straight back into the fight.
Yes, he is, but here comes the re-engage now from SK Gaming. Freddy122 is zoning out 2 players all by his lonesome. Gragas going to be crushing down. Mega Inferno Bomb comes across with the True Shot Barrage as well. Both of them narrowly missing, but again, it's that same kind of predicament that IPG find themselves in. You don't get killed, but you're going to lose a tower because you're so low and you can't defend it.
And the good disengage, but SK are putting so much damage down on them before they can disengage like that. Santorin gets caught out in that ultimate from Nifto. He goes up into the repel, but he's going to come back down where he was. But a good job from the rest of IPG to get in there and defend it. Gamble goes very, very deep, immediately has to flash away. Exojin is using his ultimate, but it's more to just zone the differentiate between SK and IPG away. We did get some healing members of IPG running back out onto the map, the home guard in Gragas. But still, no kills for either side, and SK did pick up the objective they were looking for.
They did. And that was quite a few ultimates burnt as well. So you're going to have Explosive Cask on cooldown, Culling on cooldown, Pro Storm on cooldown. By the time the next fight kicks off, though, they should all be back up again. And on the flip side, lots of ultimates have been burnt from SK Gaming, but identical situation. It's probably not going to be a fight for another moment or two, especially with Dragon respawning in 1 minute. That could be the next time that we have both teams congregating around the same area.
Yeah, Candy Panda grab himself that red buff, then I'd imagine he's going to base. He's running very, very low on the old mana, and he's got a fair bit of gold in his pocket to go and spend too. I'd imagine perhaps a BF sword straight out that will eventually become part of a Bloodthirster with a little bit more gold in his pockets. Oh no, he's going for a cut. So he's going for a Blade of the Ruined King. I mean, that's a smart pick. He's got that Aurelia limping straight towards him every time. Blade of the Ruined King's going to allow him to steal her movement speed and help put extra distance between the two. He can only, of course, Arcane Shift once so often, and Aurelia's just going to dash onto him, steal his movement speed with Blade of the Ruined King, and stick to him. He's going to Arcane Shift away, but because he's slow, she's going to stick to him. So he can Blade of the Ruined King himself, get that movement speed back, and keep the running, keep the distance between him and Aurelia.
And you've described exactly why I see Aurelia as an anti-AD carry. because even if you have the Arcane Shift, you have the Relentless Pursuit, it's still going to be very difficult to escape from Gamble's Irelia right now. And especially in team fights, we saw Freddy122 doing the opposite there, actually, turning the table, zoning out both Gragas and Lucian the entirety of that fight, which bought the rest of his team the chance to nuke down the rest of their team and basically get the free tower. They're now going to be stealing away this blue buff courtesy of Ziggs. And again, we're in this position where IPG, their back's against the wall, but the first game told us they will come out swinging.
And we did see Lucian looking there to try and grab himself that blue buff, rotated around on his own to try and pick that up, but SK as a unit went around to push him straight off of there, and he didn't have the support of his team to keep them busy. SK now have a 2-man attempt here on the Baron, but the remaining 3 members are zoning IPG in and keeping them towards this middle lane. They have now been pushed off. Exoldina takes a massive poke damage there from Jez's, but the Baron attempt has had to be stopped. Nif misses everyone with that ultimate. Gamble's going down incredibly low. They have to flash away. Candy Panda's looking to complete the chase, but after the Arcane Shift has to back on out of there. Not the greatest ult by Nif, but I mean, it still kind of did its job. It still zoned and pushed IPG back and away, so they ran away from the ult. So while it didn't actually land the stun, it put enough distance between SK and IPG, then SK could put a lot of damage down and then rotate back to the Baron. Great ult from Lee Gobber. I mean, Jez is in a horrible position. He's going to get nuked down. SK, this is what we've seen before from many teams, trying to rush down that Baron, leaving some people open to damage that they need and beat.
Dinner was tanking the Baron there for a few moments and very nearly paid for it with his life as Candy Panda went back in again and nearly landed the second Mystic shot, which would have been all she wrote. But now, in fairness to IPG, they are going to bounce back and they're just going to pick up a tower.
IPG running away from this. They didn't feel confident they could win a base race against SK, and they may be right. With Svenska and with Freddy, with Candy Panda, they could do a lot of damage to these turrets. So they do get one turret here in the middle lane, the outer turret, the tier 1, and then have to back away to go and deal with the SK push, but SK immediately start to run out and recall as soon as they realise that IPG have gone missing from the map.
Alrighty, so let's take stock of the situation right now. 7.2k difference between the two teams in SK's favour, but as we saw game 1, at some point gold will start to have less and less meaning. Dragon is up, but Baron is definitely the focal point for both of these squads. They want to pick up the Baron, they want to get picks around here and look to push forward objectives afterwards.
So SK had loads of ward left in the IPG jungle after that quick base out of it. So while IPG did make a beeline straight for the Baron, SK saw them going that way. They did not know what time of timing they had. They knew what kind of window they had to get back to that Baron without losing it to them. And they were there with plenty of time left. But there's also an Oracle's up on Exoldina, so he was killing those wards as they went, and that also slowed their approach. And, well, SK have tried to rush the Baron down a couple times. IPG seemed perfectly content without doing it. They weren't so worried about stealing it away, they weren't so worried about waiting for SK and nicking it from them, they weren't so worried about pushing them off there and doing it themselves. They just wanted to take the fight. And that Baron, ultimately, while it was an attempt from SK to try and make something happen, not sure it was the right call, but they got quite lucky and they didn't lose too much doing it.
I would say, though, that Gragas has just finished off his Replicant's Death Cap, which is a huge power spike for him, personally, and of course, IPG as a whole. So this could be the moment where they're saying, okay, we've got a few more items now, we can potentially burst somebody down, so let's try and make some plays. That being said, Gragas is a bot lane, so he doesn't have teleport. If SK start the Baron right now, IPG in a really sticky situation, but Gragas is making a move, and SK realise that.
Yeah, they are taking back up towards the team. Doing another quick vision check from Niels over that wall as Nif starts taking away that pink ward using his Oracle. SK in that river. Control over the Baron for himself. Nif walks for a ward thinking Candy's going to kill it. He doesn't. Good wave clear again from Jez. Up to 350 CS on that. Ziggs now incredibly strong. Well, the kill count's not necessarily there. There's your gold score. 12,000 on Jez. So far ahead of everyone else in the game. But SK as a whole, you can see the 8,000 team gold lead they've got, and everyone on their team, bar jungle and support, over that 10,000, over the 11,000 gold mark as well, to be completely honest. Gamble uses his Blade of the Ruined King on Jez's, but that's it, leaves it and backs away. Nif's looking for that opportunity, trying to catch that perfect crescendo. Doesn't want a repeat of the last one. It's going to be fresh in his mind, no doubt. Well, good play here by IPG, rotating around in keeping the pressure on SK, sealing them up in the mid lane. It does look like SK are going to go in.
Crescendo lands, Infernal Bomb as well, and Candy Panda is trying his best to dart around the edges. Niels throw nearly goes down. True Shot Barrage comes through and will finish off the kill onto Lucian. 2-for-0 trade, now chasing down the remainder of IPG. Santorin goes down for the double kill. 3-for-0 right now, SK, and this inhibitor is all over the place for SK. They're going to be just focusing it down. They're going to go for the top lane because there's a bigger creep wave, and they could even pick up 2 inhibs actually with 30-second death timers for 2 players on IPG.
So here's the thing, I like what IPG were trying. Okay, so you're around by the Baron, you're not willing to risk it because you know we can come in and take it from you. You're not willing to fight us because you know we've not got a bad position. So we're going to zone you sideways and slowly push the mid lane, zone you sideways and slowly push the mid lane and start getting turrets. But half of IPG wanted to do that, half IPG went up towards the tower, half stayed back and didn't quite want to. They were spread out all the way along the lane, and they allowed SK to position, rotate around them, and catch them off guard and catch them completely split up. A great ultimate from Nif caught both Lucian and XL Dinner in there. They were nuked down very, very quickly. The Mega Inferno Bomb on their head. I'm going to say a little bit of a fluke that Candy Panda managed to kill Lucian with that ultimate, because that wasn't his main target, but it was just the route that Lucian was taking on his retreat, on his regroup towards his team, so picked him off. They then managed to focus onto Santorin, who was right in and amongst the team, and now SK Gaming managed to rotate straight to the top lane where that creep wave was and nuke down their first inhibitor.
So that is going to give SK the upper hand, no doubt. And you can see nearly 10,000 gold difference now as a result of that. True Shot Barrage comes through. This is more of a scouting agent than anything else. It would have gave some vision. Freddy122 has been caught out of position. Will be using that counter-strike. Migobro has been kicked back. Is he going to fall? Forced to flash away. There's Candy Panda to pick up the pieces. Got the red buff. Constant slows coming down. There's the Ziggs ultimate as well, and the culling from Niels. But with that kill onto Gragas, they're going to be looking to go for the jugular. Gamble uses the Blade of the Ruined King to force Freddy122 back, but has the damage already been done?
It's enough for them to go in and grab the Baron, I suspect. Without that Gragas ultimate, that combo, it's a big thing, but Nif needs to stay alive for it to happen. Gamble though blows a lot. Nif actually gets the ultimate off and they manage to finish Gamble. Candy going to keep the pressure on mid. Now, there's the call from SK to go back towards the Baron. That Gragas ultimate that they used on Freddy when they caught him in the river actually didn't hit him. It didn't do any damage. He fired it so close to the edge that he didn't want to push Freddy out into a position he liked where he was. He wanted to put it right on the edge of the ring, so it did the damage but nothing else. And he didn't even do that. He missed the damage. So slight misplacement by Godbreak, and then he paid for it with his life. SK rotate down. They're going to pick up the Baron. They're going to base. They're going to go spend so much gold. 3,000 of it on Ezreal, another 1,000 on Jack. They are incredibly strong. The gold lead is up to well over 12,000 now. And with one inhib down, SK Gaming may be on the verge of leveling out this series.
It seems like the jitters, the pre-match nerves have settled now for SK Gaming, and they are looking like a much more clinical squad, moving together in unison, focusing the same targets, and picking up players. And this is the main difference, I feel, from game number 1 and 2, where SK were being caught in game number 1, and now it's the complete role reversal with IPG being caught. So it goes to show how much of a momentum-based game League of Legends is.
It's also, I think, a little bit to do with the champions they've got here. SK's champions are a little bit better at catching them this time around than they were before. Although it's not to say that IPG's team cannot catch people off guard. They've got that Elise that's great at doing it. We've got Fiddlesticks that's great with the fear too. 3 seconds gives so much time for a team to respond. You get XL Din again in a bit of poke as he tries to plant a ward in here. As SK now, with this Baron buff, push as a 5-man onto the tier 2 turret in the bottom lane. This will not be long for this world. Does drop down almost instantly as Ziggs and Jax rotate onto it, but the bottom inhib turret has got a bit of a better chance now. It's a bit easier to defend, and with all 5 members of IPG here doing just that, they may be able to hold it for a little while. Ezreal ults towards the mid lane to help that push come a little bit faster, and Freddy's going over there to heal the wave of creep before they meet each other too. So SK helping that mid lane push out. Top lane's got a super creep wave heading in its direction thanks to the inhib being down. So pressure on all 3 fronts here for IPG to deal with.
Yeah, you can see so much more confidence now from SK Gaming. They're going to be picking up this tower. Do they engage? Flash in from Nif, catches 2 players. Here's the Inferno Bomb as well. So much burst damage coming out from SK Gaming. They're looking to pick up more. 2-for-0 trade, I should say. Soon to be a 3-for-0 if they can land any more damage onto Niels. He's going to back away. But again, another inhibitor will be falling down. And it's got SK Gaming's name written all over it. They're going for the 3rd. If this falls, Panky, it's going to be the GG.
It's that tutorial Imperial style again, just as we saw from IPG doing to them, taking down all three. Now they're going to be massive wave of creeps coming in every direction. There's a few more members of IPG alive than SK had, but with that Zig short fuse damage and with Frey shoot 1-1-2 nuking down these Nexus turrets, one will fall. Santra and Niels and Gamble are still doing their best to defend, but the next Nexus turret is down. Still 30 seconds on Gragas, 15 seconds on XL Dinner, and SK Gaming have leveled out the series, one game apiece. We will be seeing a third game, ladies and gentlemen, and what a third game it's set to be.
Wow, wow, wow. Words elude me right now. SK Gaming, I'll admit, I was a bit worried for them going